Imagine a king so powerful, his legacy is woven into the very fabric of Swazi tradition. A ruler with not just a throne but 1,000 wives, each with a story of love, alliance, and intrigue. Who was this legendary monarch, and what can his life teach us about the rich tapestry of African heritage? Join us as we unravel the captivating tale of the 1,000 wives of a king. In the heart of the African plains, where the hills rise like sentinels guarding the secrets of time, the kingdom of Lujazi flourished. Its people sang songs of their ancestors, danced to the rhythm of the drum, and revered the spirits that whispered in the wind. At the heart of this vibrant kingdom stood King Ndlangamandla, a ruler whose name meant, "He who commands strength." Known far and wide for his wisdom and power, he was also renowned for a peculiarity that had become legend. King Ndlangamandla had 1,000 wives. The tale of how he came to marry so many women was not one of greed or lust but of duty, tradition, and a curse that lingered over the royal lineage. This story begins in the village of Umkil, the cradle of the kingdom's most sacred traditions. The kingdom of Lujazi, nestled in the rolling hills of southern Africa, was a land steeped in tradition and guided by the wisdom of its sangomas, the spiritual healers and custodians of ancestral knowledge. For centuries, these seers had acted as the bridge between the physical and spiritual realms, ensuring the kingdom's prosperity through their communion with the ancestors. One serene evening, as the sky shimmered with an unbroken expanse of stars, a young and gifted sangoma named Namalanga sat in quiet meditation. She was a rising figure among her peers, known for her clarity of vision and her profound connection to the unseen world. The gentle rustling of the baobab trees' leaves above her mingled with the rhythmic crackling of the sacred fire, and it was in this sacred moment that the ancestors chose to speak. Their voices were not loud but deeply resonant, carried on the night breeze and felt as much in her spirit as they were heard by her ears. The king's destiny is bound to the union of 1,000 hearts, the ancestors whispered. Through these unions, balance will be restored to the kingdom, and Lujazi will thrive as never before. But beware, for if this path is neglected, ruin and discord will follow. Namalanga's heart raced as the vision ended. The gravity of the message weighed heavily upon her, for such a prophecy could alter the fate of the kingdom. She knew her duty and wasted no time. At the break of dawn, she made her way to the Council of Elders, the esteemed custodians of the kingdom's laws and traditions. Seated in a semicircle within the great council hut, the elders listened intently as Namalanga recounted her vision. The firelight flickered across their wise, weathered faces as they deliberated the message. The prophecy, with its cryptic call for the king to unite with 1,000 women, was perplexing yet compelling. The elders understood that ancestral words were not to be taken lightly. After hours of discussion, they resolved to bring the matter to the young King Ndlangamandla, who had recently ascended the throne following the passing of his father. Ndlangamandla was a ruler of great promise, known for his sharp intellect and unyielding determination, though he had yet to be tested by the trials of leadership. When the elders approached him with Namalanga's vision, he received the news with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The weight of the prophecy was immense, the ancestors were entrusting him with a monumental task. Yet he was also aware of the potential peril should he fail. The young king stood tall, his eyes scanning the council chamber as he addressed the elders and Namalanga. "If the ancestors have spoken, there shall be my command. I vow to honor this prophecy and undertake the journey they have set before me. Let it be known that I, Ndlangamandla, will unite with 1,000 women, not for my own glory but for the balance and prosperity of Lujazi." The room fell silent, the echoes of his declaration reverberating in the hearts of all present. The decree was made official, and from that moment on, the kingdom embarked on a path unlike any it had seen before. The task ahead was extraordinary, requiring not just the union of the king with 1,000 women but the forging of alliances, the strengthening of communities, and the navigation of complex dynamics of love, power, and responsibility. The journey began in earnest, with the royal court and elders orchestrating a vast network of matchmakers, emissaries, and ceremonies. The unions were not merely marital, they symbolized a bond between families, clans, and neighboring territories. Each wife brought with her a dowry of cultural knowledge, economic resources, or political alliances, strengthening the kingdom's foundations and knitting its people closer together. For King Ndlangamandla, the path was not without its challenges. Some unions were joyous, with love blooming like the first rains of the season, while others were marked by resistance, misunderstanding, or intrigue. Each woman brought her own story, her own aspirations, and her own spirit to the royal household, creating a tapestry of relationships as diverse as the land itself. Namalanga, ever vigilant, remained a trusted advisor to the king throughout this endeavor. She often reminded him of the true purpose behind the prophecy, to restore balance and ensure harmony, not to seek power or personal gain. Under her guidance, Ndlangamandla navigated the complexities of his role, striving to uphold the ancestors' will while honoring the dignity of each woman he wed. As the years passed and the prophecy neared its fulfillment, the kingdom of Lujazi began to transform. The king's unions brought not only a sense of interconnectedness but also a flourishing of culture, trade, and unity. The prophecy, which had once seemed an enigmatic burden, revealed itself as a masterstroke of ancestral wisdom, a plan to bind the kingdom together in an unbreakable web of kinship and cooperation. Yet the journey was far from over. The prophecy's warning still lingered in the air: beware, for neglect of this path will bring ruin. As Ndlangamandla stood on the cusp of completing the 1,000 unions, he found himself pondering the deeper meaning of the ancestors' words and the legacy he would leave for future generations. The journey to fulfill the prophecy began with the selection of Nandi as the king's first bride, a decision that would shape the course of the kingdom's destiny. Nandi was not merely a woman of striking beauty, she was celebrated for her unmatched grace, wisdom, and ability to see beyond the surface of things. Her reputation as a healer of both wounds and hearts preceded her, and she was renowned in her clan for her sharp intellect and unwavering sense of justice. When Nandi was brought before King Ndlangamandla, her demeanor set her apart. She stood with quiet confidence, her gaze steady and her words measured. The king, though a leader with untested experience, was immediately struck by her presence. It was clear that she possessed not only the qualities of a queen but the essence of a true partner in leadership. Her selection was not a matter of politics or convenience, it was a recognition of her potential to be a guiding force in the king's life. Their union was celebrated with great splendor, the entire kingdom coming together to witness the beginning of this extraordinary journey. The ceremony was a blend of tradition and innovation, a reflection of what their marriage would symbolize for Lujazi. As the sacred vows were exchanged, the air seemed to hum with ancestral approval, signaling that the first step toward fulfilling the prophecy had been taken. Nandi quickly proved herself to be more than just a wife, she was a counselor, a confidant, and a bridge between the king and his people. In their private chambers, she spoke candidly with Ndlangamandla, offering insights that revealed her deep understanding of human nature and the complexities of governance. She encouraged him to look beyond the throne's isolation and engage with the lives of those he ruled. Under Nandi's influence, the royal court underwent a transformation. She proposed that women, often sidelined in the kingdom's decision-making processes, should have a platform to voice their concerns and ideas. While this was a bold and controversial suggestion, Ndlangamandla saw the wisdom in her words. Together, they established a council where women of the court and the kingdom could speak freely, share their experiences. Nandi's presence also set a precedent for the king's future unions. She made it clear that the prophecy was not a call for indulgence but a sacred duty to uplift the kingdom. She counseled the king to choose each bride with intention, ensuring that every union would bring a unique strength or skill to the realm. This approach elevated the royal household from being a collection of wives to a coalition of leaders, each playing a pivotal role in Lujazi's prosperity. Through her teachings, Nandi instilled in the king a profound sense of humility and a commitment to listening. She reminded him that leadership was not about commanding from above but about understanding and serving the needs of the people. Her influence resonated far beyond the walls of the palace, inspiring the women of Lujazi to step forward as active participants in their communities. As the first bride, Nandi set the tone for what was to come. She was the foundation upon which the prophecy would be built, ensuring that each subsequent wife was not a mere symbol but a pillar of the kingdom's strength. Her legacy would echo through the corridors of history, marking the beginning of a journey that would reshape Lujazi forever. The growing royal household brought not only strength and diversity to the kingdom but also complexity and challenges. As King Ndlangamandla fulfilled the prophecy and married more women from across the land, the palace became a microcosm of the entire kingdom. Each bride arrived with her own customs, beliefs, and values, an embodiment of her village's identity. This cultural richness was both a blessing and a burden, as it often gave rise to misunderstandings, conflicts, and rivalries. Recognizing the growing tensions, Nandi, ever the wise counselor, proposed a solution: the creation of a council of queens. This council, comprising all the king's wives, would serve as a forum for addressing disputes, sharing ideas, and fostering unity among the women. It would also act as a bridge between their respective villages, ensuring that the voices of the diverse communities within Lujazi were heard at the highest level. The Council of Queens was an innovative idea, and its establishment was met with cautious optimism. The wives, each proud and strong-willed, initially found it difficult to collaborate. However, Nandi, with her calm and persuasive nature, took on the role of mediator. She reminded the women that their union with the king was not just a personal bond but a sacred duty to the kingdom. Their ability to work together was crucial for maintaining harmony within the palace and beyond. Despite these efforts, moments of discord were inevitable. One of the most notable incidents involved Thandika, a spirited and assertive woman from the northern hills. Known for her fiery temperament, Thandika was fiercely loyal to her traditions and often outspoken in court. Her grievances were sparked when Ayanda, a gentle and soft-spoken newcomer from the western forests, seemed to garner more attention from the king during an important festival. To Thandika, this perceived slight was not just a personal affront but a challenge to her standing in the royal household. Their feud quickly became the talk of the court, with factions forming among the other wives. The tensions threatened to spill over into the larger kingdom, as the villages of Thandika and Ayanda began to take sides, rekindling old rivalries. The unity that the prophecy sought to create seemed to be at risk of unraveling. It was Nandi who stepped in to restore order. Calling a special session of the Council of Queens, she addressed the issue head-on. With grace and authority, she reminded Thandika and Ayanda of their shared responsibilities. "We are the pillars of this kingdom," she said, her voice steady but firm. "If we crumble, the kingdom crumbles with us. Our duty is not to vie for the king's favor but to support him in fulfilling the prophecy and to ensure that our people thrive." Nandi also facilitated a symbolic reconciliation between the two women. She suggested a ceremony in which they would exchange gifts representing their respective cultures, a gesture of mutual respect and understanding. Thandika presented Ayanda with a beaded necklace crafted by her people, symbolizing strength and unity, while Ayanda offered Thandika a woven shawl imbued with her village's blessings for peace and harmony. The ceremony was a turning point. Not only did it mend the rift between Thandika and Ayanda, but it also set a precedent for resolving future disputes. The act of honoring each other's traditions became a cornerstone of the Council of Queens practices, fostering a spirit of collaboration and mutual respect. Though challenges persisted, the Council of Queens proved to be an invaluable institution. It allowed the king's wives to channel their diverse perspectives into collective strength, ensuring that the royal household remained a beacon of unity for the kingdom. Nandi's vision and leadership once again affirmed her role as the foundation of this extraordinary journey, guiding the palace through trials and securing the legacy of the prophecy. The Curse of the Forgotten Bride. By the time King Ndlangamandla had taken his 500th wife, the kingdom of Lujazi seemed to flourish in unity and prosperity. Yet, as the royal household grew larger, the very foundation of the prophecy, the union of hearts, began to falter. The king, once meticulous in honoring each bride's unique role, became overwhelmed by the sheer enormity of his task. Some wives found themselves overlooked. Zanil, a quiet and introspective woman from a remote village, was among those who felt the sting of neglect. A skilled healer and storyteller, she had once captivated the king with her wisdom and gentle spirit. But as the years passed and new brides arrived, Zanil found herself fading into the background. Her sorrow deepened, and her once vibrant light dimmed. Desperate to reclaim her sense of worth, Zanil sought counsel from a dark Sangoma who lived on the fringes of the kingdom. This Sangoma, shunned by the community for her malevolent practices, promised Zanil a way to make her pain known. The king must feel what it is to be forgotten, she said. With whispered incantations and offerings under a blood-red moon, the Sangoma cast a curse upon the king. For every wife you neglect, your strength will wane. Only by honoring each heart will you retain your power. The effects of the curse were swift and devastating. The kingdom, once lush and fertile, began to wither. Crops failed, rivers dried, and the skies withheld their rain. The people of Lujazi, who had revered their king as a symbol of divine favor, began to question his leadership. Whispers of discontent rippled through the villages, and the once unified kingdom teetered on the brink of despair. King Ndlangamandla, troubled by the sudden misfortunes, turned to the elders for guidance. They reminded him of the ancestors' warning: the king's destiny was bound to the union of hearts, and neglect of this path would bring ruin. Realizing the gravity of his actions, Ndlangamandla sought to rectify his mistakes. He began by visiting Zanil, who had secluded herself in sorrow. With humility and remorse, the king knelt before her, acknowledging the pain his neglect had caused. He listened as she poured out her heart, recounting the joys and dreams she had once shared with him. Moved by her words, Ndlangamandla promised to honor her and all his wives equally, as the prophecy intended. To break the curse, the king undertook a journey of atonement. Guided by the elders and the council of queens, he traveled across the kingdom, visiting each of his wives in their homelands. At each stop, he performed rituals of reconciliation, presenting gifts and listening to their grievances and desires. The wives, in turn, shared their unique talents and traditions, reigniting the spirit of unity that had once defined the royal household. As the king's efforts grew more earnest, the curse began to lift. The rains returned, nourishing the parched land, and the kingdom's vitality was restored. The people, witnessing their king's humility and dedication, renewed their faith in his leadership. Zanil, whose pain had been the catalyst for the curse, became a symbol of redemption and resilience. With the Sangoma's shadow fading, she reclaimed her role as a healer, helping to mend not just the king's household but also the kingdom's fractured spirit. The curse of the forgotten bride served as a powerful reminder of the prophecy's true meaning: the strength of a king lies not in the number of his unions but in the honor and love he gives to each heart. Ndlangamandla emerged from the ordeal wiser and more devoted than ever, determined to uphold the legacy of balance and unity entrusted to him by the ancestors. The journey of redemption. To break the curse, the king embarked on a journey to honor each of his wives. He visited their villages, learned their customs, and listened to their grievances. This journey not only mended his bonds with them but also revitalized the kingdom. As the king reconnected with his wives, the land healed, rains returned, and the people's spirits lifted. One of the most profound moments came when he visited Zanil. She wept and confessed her role in the curse. Instead of anger, the king forgave her and invited her to rejoin the court. This act of compassion further united his household. The final bride. When the king reached his 999th wife, the prophecy seemed nearly fulfilled. However, the final bride was unlike any other. Her name was Liana, a simple woman from a humble village. She was not known for beauty, wealth, or power but for her kindness and ability to inspire others. Liana's marriage to the king completed the prophecy, but her influence extended beyond that. She reminded the king and his court that the true strength of a kingdom lies in its people's unity and love. Her presence marked the beginning of a new era for Lujazi. A legacy of unity. King Ndlangamandla's reign became a golden age for the kingdom of Lujazi. The 1,000 wives, each bringing their unique strengths, formed the foundation of a united and prosperous kingdom. The Council of Queens became a symbol of harmony, influencing governance and ensuring that the king's legacy endured. The tale of the 1,000 wives is still told in Lujazi, not as a story of excess but as a lesson in balance, duty, and the power of unity. It serves as a reminder that even the most daunting challenges can be overcome through compassion, wisdom, and the honoring of tradition. Epilogue, the Song of the Ancestors. As the years passed, the ancestors continued to whisper through the wind and the trees, their voices a reminder of the bond between the past and the present. The kingdom of Lujazi thrived, its people singing songs of their warrior king and his 1,000 queens. Their story became a part of the land, a legend carried forward by the rhythms of time.